There's nothing like a good country song, especially on Father's Day. And what's surprising about country songs is every once in a while, they always tell a story. Every once in a while, they actually tell a good story, one that you can retell. This one actually happened to be written by Ryan Holmes. So way to go, Ryan, and celebrating Father's Day together. So all of us make decisions every day. We make hundreds, if not thousands, of decisions every day. And every time we make a decision, it's almost like somebody hands us coins. And if you make a good decision, you get lots of coins, especially if it's over some big issue. You get lots and lots of coins that you get to put in your pocket and carry with you that helps you in the future. And the more good decisions you make, the more coins you have in your pocket, and you just get to keep accumulating and accumulating. And it just helps you in the future maybe make better decisions, or you have the freedom to make decisions because you keep making good decisions, you keep getting more coins. But now the interesting thing is, when you make bad decisions, you have to give those coins back. And they begin to cost you coins. And if you make too many bad decisions, then all of a sudden you go bankrupt. All of a sudden, nobody's trusting you anymore. All of a sudden, nobody's allowing you to make any more decisions. Now, if you happen to be young, if you happen to be new to a relationship, if you happen to be new at a job, if you happen to have made a lot of lousy decisions before and you've got just a few coins in your pocket, my recommendation to you would be start making small decisions, make them wise, and make sure you're adding coins back into your pocket. Because as long as you've got coins in your pocket, mom and dad are going to trust you and go, oh, she's made good decisions before, and so they've got coins in their pocket. You can keep making decisions. And sometimes you wonder, why do mom and dad not trust me? Or why does my wife or husband not trust me? Well, it's probably because you've made some bad decisions. You don't have very many coins left in your pocket. You've had to give them all back, and you find yourself in trouble. And people don't trust you anymore. You're new to your job. And you come, if you've had successes before, if you come from another job and you've got a proven track record, you may come with a load of coins in your pocket. And people may say, man, I trust him, I trust her. They've got lots and lots of coins in their pocket. But if you're brand new to your job and you're just starting out, you don't have all that many coins. And so you need to make decisions that are going to help you gain more coins in your pocket. Otherwise, if you make a few bad ones, you're going to say, well, why does my boss not trust me more? Well, you have no coins in your pocket. You haven't been making any good decisions, and you've had to give all your coins back. And the danger is, if you get all the way down and you have no coins in your pocket, you're done. You get fired, the relationship is over, not trust anymore. And so the decisions you and I make are so critical that we need to constantly be asking ourselves, how many coins do I have in my pocket? You need to be aware of that, because all of a sudden you find yourself in trouble, you're out of coins, and sometimes we take too many risks and we lose coins. Sometimes we decide we're going to play it safe. I don't have a whole lot of coins left, and so I'm just going to play it safe. I'm not going to make any decisions, and that can work, but the problem with that is you're not gaining any more, so you're always living right on the edge, and so you've got to figure out how to make decisions and take some risks so you can gain some more coins back. And so we're constantly trying to figure out, how do I make good decisions to make sure I can put more coins in my pocket? So over the last several weeks, we've been in a series where we've entitled, What Was I Thinking? And in this series, we're actually talking about how to make good decisions. And you and I make, again, hundreds, if not thousands of decisions every day. And every decision we make has consequences. The decisions you're making today, you're thinking about making today, will have consequences. And the thing is, you don't know who your decisions are going to impact. You don't know how they're going to impact you. You don't know if it's going to impact your family, your friends, people down the road, generations maybe that you've never known before, you never will know. Their decisions in the past have impacted you. Your decisions for the future are going to impact others. And every decision we make, there's a level of risk involved with them. And so you have to figure out, how do I make wise decisions? Now, risks are interesting because when we use the word risk, oftentimes you think, oh, that's a bad thing. Because we think of risk with harm and loss and danger, and there is a dark side to risk, but there's also a positive side where there are opportunities that come along with risk as well. And see, there's two sides of risk. Not only does it involve threats, but it also involves opportunities. And if you and I are ever going to reach our full potential, we've got to figure out, how do we make decisions to gain more coins, to be able to figure out risks so we don't damage and hurt ourselves or others. And here's what I know. See, I grew up as a son of a pastor, and so I was around my dad and people that talked to my dad the whole time I was growing up. I've worked in churches now for over 40, almost 45 years, and the interesting thing is, I've heard literally thousands of stories. Thousands of stories of people that would come to my dad or then come to me and say, here's what's happening in my life. My life is falling apart. It's full of problems. And as you listen to those stories, I would venture to guess 95% of the time it comes back to people making bad decisions. And maybe the person that's struggling didn't make the bad decisions. Maybe somebody else made bad decisions that affected them, but it all comes back to bad decisions. And so if we could just figure out, how do we make good decisions? How do we make sure that we're not making foolish decisions that are going to damage ourselves or damage others in the process? And the good news is that you and I can make good decisions. The good news is you and I can understand and we can figure out how to make good decisions and not find ourselves bankrupt. And if we can just slow down and just kind of define and refine the steps in making good decisions, then all of a sudden you and I can become good risk takers. We can become good decision makers where we're not having to give all our coins back, but instead we're actually we're receiving more coins in our lives. And so today actually, I want to give you a couple of tips on what to do when you feel like you've been following the process. You've maybe been taking calculated risks, but you're still not sure exactly what to do in the process. And so 2 tips, I'm going to call one of them the golden buzzer of good decisions. The other we're going to call the poison pill of bad decisions. And let me just kind of review what we've said the last couple of weeks, because we've been building so that you and I can learn how to make better decisions. And bottom line, we said, you know what, if you're ever going to make a good decision, it's got to start by inviting God into the process first. You've got to invite God into the process. You've got to say, God, just help me. Help me make a good decision here. And the fascinating thing to me is, as I've listened to thousands of stories of people whose lives have been just kind of messed up because of bad decisions, I would venture to guess, and I think it'd be very safe to say, rarely, if ever, in the midst of those bad decisions, was God ever invited into the process. Rarely, if ever, in a bad decision do we stop and say, God, what do you think about this? God, what do you feel about this? God, you lead me and guide me. We tend to leave God out of it until we're struggling. And then when we're struggling, we shake our fist at God and say, God, where are you? Why didn't you show up here? And he was never invited into the process to begin with. So it all begins with just inviting God into the process. And then last week we laid out kind of a 4-step process, thoughts to think through as you step into decision making. So I want to talk to you about 4 propositions that come every time you and I make a decision. 4 propositions that come at us whether we want them to or not, whether we ask for them, they're coming, and things that we need to think through in order to make a good decision about whatever it is we're thinking about. And they come fast. We don't have time to oftentimes slow down, but when we're making big decisions, we better slow down and think through them. So let me give you these 4 propositions. The first one is desire. First proposition really asks the question, what would you like in this situation? What is it that you're hoping for? What is it you're desiring for in this particular situation? Now, the interesting thing with the 4 propositions is there's a dark side and a bright side to each of them. And so it may be a good thing, but sometimes it may be a bad thing. And it happens every time with all 4 of these propositions. And so desire, what would you like? The second proposition deals with opportunity. What's available? What's available to help you meet this desire? What's available to help you experience what you're hoping to experience with that desire? Is the opportunity there? And again, there's a bright side, there's a dark side to every opportunity, every proposition that comes our way. Desire, what would you like? Opportunity, what's available? The third proposition is power. Can you even make it happen? Power deals with, do you have the ability, do you have the power, do you have the position in order to make this happen? And the interesting thing about power is we tend to think, I have no power in my life. There are other people that have power, but I don't. But we all have more power than we think. I mean, power comes from a variety of things. It may be your physical size. It may be your wealth. It may be the position you have in the organization. Maybe you've got a special skill that nobody else has. And so you can use that special skill that just gives you power. People see you, they're impressed by you. Maybe it's the relationships you have around you, but every one of us have power. And again, there's a bright side and a dark side to all 4 of the propositions that we're laying out. But power has this tendency to corrupt. Power has this tendency to kind of mess with our heads, where all of a sudden we start thinking, I'm more important than everybody else. And it has a tendency to corrupt and mess us up. So desire, what would you like? First proposition. Opportunity, what's available? Is there anything available that's going to help make this come to fruition? Power, can you make it happen? Do you have that ability, capacity to make it happen? The last of the 4 propositions are just expectations. If you get what you desire, what do you think is going to happen? If you get what you desire, what you're hoping for, what might be the result? And you've got to think through, again, the bright side and even the dark side. I like what Dr. Joyce Brothers says when she was talking about expectations. Bottom line, she said, look, if you can live with the end result, go for it. But if you can't live with the end result of the worst that may happen, then you need to hold back. And so you think through with expectations, what's the worst thing that could happen if I follow through with this? And if the worst thing happens, then I don't think I'd better go forward with that. I'd better hold off. Now, let me give you some examples. This is Father's Day. And so let me give you some examples of how this might work, and especially for dad. And so let me talk about topics that dads oftentimes face and dads are struggling with as they're thinking through with their kids what they might face. And so I kind of picked 3 out, and it's been a long time since my kids are home, so I don't deal with these now, and I'm sure I never dealt with them before, but let me just give you the 3 things that just kind of came to mind for me. And one is, especially if you got teenagers, then dads are always saying, get out of bed and get a job. You just got to get a job. It's time to go to work. And so Proverbs talks about that. The Bible talks about it. It says work brings profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. And so son or daughter, you need to get out of bed. You need to get a job. And so as you're thinking through, okay, I need to talk to that about my teenager. Well, what's your desire? Well, one is they need to get out of bed, but more than that, you want them to have a job so that they can be fruitful and productive in the future. And so, come on, I need you to get out of bed, get a job. Opportunity, is the opportunity there? Well, they're laying right there in bed. So yes, the opportunity is there. You can say, get out of bed, you need to get a job, you need to get moving. It can happen, the opportunity is there. Power, do you have the power? Can you make it happen? You're the dad. You can make it happen. You're the mom. You can make it happen. You can make sure they're out of bed. You can push them towards getting that job. Your expectations, what might result? Well, your hope is ultimately they get a job in the short term, but long term, you hope they're learning skills and disciplines that will help them in the future, that can move them forward. Now, what's interesting is while you as the dad, maybe you as the mom are thinking these things, you have your own desires, but that son or daughter laying in bed has their own desires. And they're thinking, my desire is for you to leave me alone. My desire is for you to let me sleep. My desire is just to get some rest here. Just leave me alone. Opportunity, is it available? Well, you could stay in bed, but it's going to be uncomfortable because you don't really have ultimately the power to make that happen. Your expectations, if I stay in bed, it's going to be rough between me and mom, me and dad. It's not going to go well. This is going to be a difficult situation. And so each of you are trying to wrestle through and think through, okay, what is it that I need to do? And again, as a dad, you're saying, really, ultimately, my desire isn't just that you can never sleep late, because it's okay to sleep late from time to time, but my desire is you be productive. My desire is you learn discipline so that you can move forward in life. Let's pick another area that sometimes families struggle with, or dads will oftentimes struggle with, and then let's talk about finances. So you're trying to figure out how to teach your kids about finances, and so Proverbs actually says the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. They spend whatever they get. And so you're trying to teach your son, your daughter, how to spend their money wisely. They go out, they get that job, now they've got finances, and so your desire is, why did you just spend all your money on that video game? Why did you do that? I mean, you know you want a car down the road. You know that you want schooling down the road. You know that your desire is to develop discipline so they'll have good habits to be able to spend down the road. Maybe that they save money. Opportunity, is the opportunity there? Well, yeah, they just came home with a paycheck, and so the opportunity there is there to say something about it. They just came home with whatever they purchased that you're not happy with. You can talk about it. Do you have the power? Well, this one gets a little more challenging because once they're out working on their own, yeah, you've got the power, but you don't. It's their money. They made it. And so you've got to figure out ways to persuade and ways to talk. Your expectations, man, if I could just teach them how to be wise with their money and develop a discipline or habit that's going to carry through for the rest of their lives, then you just go, oh, that would be so much better than spending everything you've got so that you'll never, if you keep in the habits you've got now, you'll never buy a car, you'll never buy a house, you'll never be able to do anything because you've got to learn how to save. Now, again, on this other side, your son or daughter, their desire, I just did what you told me, Dad. I went out and I got a job. I'm not in bed anymore, and so now I'm going to buy what I want. And so they've got desires as well. Opportunity, the paycheck is right there in their hands. I earned it. I made this money. I get to spend it the way I want. Power, again, that's a tussle because mom and dad can put pressure, but it's your money. But expectations, I'm going to have a great time with that video game I just bought, or I'm going to have a great time, whatever it is we just purchased. But ultimately, if you keep doing that, what about that car you want? What about that house that you're going to want down the road? What about? And so you've got to think long term with all of them. So thinking through the 4 propositions that are constantly coming at us. Let me give you another example. Let me actually ask you to open up a Bible for this one. Proverbs chapter 7. Proverbs chapter 7, and it's on page 485 in the Bibles there at your seat. So grab a Bible around you. Proverbs chapter 7. And let me show you how it works with another topic that comes up in families and comes up with dads, and it's a little bit more sensitive as you try to talk about this one, but this one is about sex. And this one is about relationships with people of the opposite sex. Specifically, this is a dad talking to his son about the issue of sex. Proverbs chapter 7, so now you might want to open up a Bible if you haven't yet, because this is actually an interesting passage. Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 1, page 485. Again, it's a dad talking to his son. Follow my advice, my son. Always treasure my commands. Obey my commands and live. Guard my instructions and guard your own eyes. Tie them on your fingers as a reminder. Write them deep in your heart. And so he's saying, okay, just make sure you listen to me. And he's going to approach the topic of sex. Look at verse 6. He gives a scenario of watching a young man. While I was at the window of my house looking through the curtain, I saw some naive young men, and one in particular who lacked common sense. Let me just stop there and say again, this is a dad giving advice to his young son. And I'm guessing probably teenage, maybe young adult son, but he's giving advice, and he said, I'm looking out the window, I see somebody come along. He lacks common sense. He was crossing the street near the house of an immoral woman, strolling down the path by her house. Now, odds are the son knew. It wasn't just a surprise. Everybody knew this woman was there. It was twilight in the evening. As darkness fell, the woman approached him, seductively dressed and sly of heart. She was brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. She is often in the streets and markets, soliciting at every corner. So again, this is somebody that people knew about. The son probably knew about. He's just saying, be careful. I was watching some guy. This is what happened. She threw her arm around him and kissed him, verse 13, and with a brazen look said, I've just made my peace offerings and fulfilled my vows. You're the one I was looking for. Surprise. Here you are. I came out to find you, and here you are. My bed is spread with beautiful blankets, with colored sheets of Egyptian linen. I perfume my bed with myrrhs, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink our fill of love until morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses. Come on, let's do this. Let's enjoy one another. And then she adds, for my husband is not home. Ooh, another interesting element to the story. My husband's not home. He's away on a long trip. He's taken a wallet full of money with him. He won't return until later. So again, imagine a dad talking to his son saying, just be real careful here. Be real careful here. And there's interesting things at play. For the son, the young man in the story, there's desire. What do you think he wants? He wants sexual satisfaction. The opportunity is there. She came up, grabbed him, put her arms around him, is kissing him. Power, can he make it happen? He's right there. And there's nobody to stop him. Her husband is gone. Expectation, this might be a wonderful night. As he's thinking through it. But dad is just saying, oh, be real careful here. Because there's more at play than what you think. So verse 21. So she seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. He followed her at once like an ox going to the slaughter. He was like a stag caught in a trap, awaiting the arrow that would pierce his heart. He was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing that it would cost him his life. Essentially, dad is saying that he was a fool. He was walking right into a trap that's going to destroy his life. So verse 24, listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your heart stray away toward her. Don't wander down her wayward path. Don't even go down that street anymore. He's saying, for she has been the ruin of many, many men have been her victims. Her house is the road to a grave. Her bedroom is the den of death. And he's just saying, I'll be real careful here. Because you go down this road, and yeah, I know what your desire is right now, but you also have desire for a relationship down the road with somebody that may become your wife. And yeah, the opportunity is there, but you also have the opportunity to say no so that your life isn't marred and smeared by some other experience or relationship that's going to damage your marriage or relationship down the road. Don't go down that way. You've got the power to stop this. And the dad, his power is just warning, be careful. This is a deadly path to go down. Expectations, if you go down this path, it will cause trouble. And he knows that because of his experience. He knows that by watching other people. It's not going to be a surprise. It will end up in a very negative situation. You might enjoy the night, but it's not going to be long lasting. And so dad just says, got to be careful here as these propositions are coming at you. And they're never easy because, again, the son has desires, or the guy in the story has desires. The dad has his set of desires. With power comes responsibility. And responsibility is the fact from a dad or a mom or a dad's standpoint is to warn the son, you got to be careful here. Or a mom or dad's responsibility with power is to say, you got to get out of bed and get a job. Or a mom or dad's responsibility to say, you need to figure out how to spend your money wisely if you ever want to be able to move ahead and get forward in life. And so you work your way through these 4 different propositions. And as you work through them, that doesn't make the decision for you. There's still other elements that you need to figure out, you need to decide as you kind of move forward. So let me just give you 2 tips. As you work through these propositions, how do you come to a final decision in this? How do you make a decision that's going to help you move forward? And so the first one we're going to call the golden buzzer of making good decisions. And the golden buzzer just comes from America's Got Talent. If you've ever seen that show, then you know that for the first 9 years, things really didn't change. Everything was pretty predictable. Different acts would show up, and that might be musicians, it could be magicians, it could be people doing these death-defying stunts. Whatever it may be, they would come and they would perform before judges, and judges would decide if they're good enough to move on until you become the grand champion. But in the 9th season, they actually added an element, the golden buzzer. And that was for the judge to be able to say, you're so good that I'm going to move you ahead where you don't have to go through all this different competition. And so if you won the golden buzzer, then gold glitter would fall from the ceiling for you, and the judges and everybody would applaud you, and the judges might hug you, and you'd move on to the next round. And interestingly, when it comes to making decisions, there is a golden buzzer as well. There's a golden buzzer in helping us make decisions. And so to see that golden buzzer, let me ask you to turn to Philippians chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2 in the Bible's there at your seats. It's actually page 900 to see this golden buzzer. And this is one of those things where if you can figure this out, then it will help you make decisions where you're actually going to gain some chips. You're going to gain some coins in your pocket. You're not going to find yourself making negative or poor decisions. Philippians chapter 2. The Apostle Paul is actually talking, and again, he said words that probably you've heard before, but words that he's just saying, look, if you do this, your decisions will more than likely be successful. Chapter 2, Philippians, page 900. Let me begin reading verse 3. He says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble. Thinking of others is better than yourself. Don't look out only for your own interest, but take interest in others too. And this is it. This is the golden buzzer of your decisions. As you work through all the 4 different elements, then you begin to figure things out. And so as you work through desire, opportunity, power, and expectation, the golden buzzer to all of this is when you begin to focus on others instead of yourself. When you begin to focus on others and not just yourself, then all of a sudden, your decisions are going to lead you more likely to a decision that's going to gain you coins as opposed to taking coins away from you. And see, the golden buzzer in decision making, it's asking the question, if I make this decision, how is it going to impact others? My desire, my opportunities, my power, my expectations, how, if I make this decision, so let's take the young man walking down the street, embraced by a woman that's calling him to bed. If I make this decision, I know what my desires are, the opportunities here, I've got the power, the expectation is it's going to be a fun night, but wait a minute, slow down here. So let's think about this though. How's it going to affect others? How's it going to affect my future spouse down the road? How's it going to affect, she's got a husband. Interesting. How's it going to affect him? And all of a sudden we begin to ask questions. How is this going to impact others? Before just asking the question, how's it going to impact me? In other words, who stands to win in this particular situation? It means being more concerned about others than it does about how this decision is going to affect me. It means how's it going to affect my spouse? How's it going to affect my kids? How is this decision going to affect my coworkers if it's a business decision? How's it going to affect my classmates if it's a decision at school? How's it going to affect my teammates if I'm on a team? And the problem is, even though we know, and I know that I always need to put others first, that's not so easy to do. I mean, if I'm real honest for myself, my tendency is to want to look out for myself first. My leaning is to grab everything I can for myself and say, forget about others. I need to take care of myself in this situation. And my tendency is to say, you know what, let them take care of themselves. I'm going to take care of myself. But again, it means if I make this decision, is my wife going to be better for it? If I make this decision, are my kids going to be better for it? If I make this decision, are my parents going to be better for it? Or if it's a business decision, if I make this decision, are the employees going to be better for it? The customers, will they be better for it? My boss, will he be better for this decision? And if I'm a political leader, will our country be better for this? And see, probably the greatest differentiator in whether or not you're making a good decision or a bad decision is really, is this best for others or is this best for me? And if you begin to focus on others, then God says, most likely it's going to be a good decision. Now, if putting others first is the golden buzzer of making good decisions and taking wise risks, then let me tell you the poison pill. And the poison pill is the exact opposite. The poison pill is just putting yourself first. It's a decision of saying it's about me, it's about my self-interest. And so I'm going to go the other way. I'm not going to worry about others. I'm actually going to focus on myself and make a decision that way. And more often than not, if we decide to put ourselves first, then it ends up being a decision that's going to probably cost you coins as you move forward. Now, interestingly, the Bible talks a lot about this, and it describes this self-interest in a variety of different ways, but one of the most common ways the Bible will talk about self-interest is in the area of pride, and just calling us a prideful individual. And pride is this excessive belief in our own abilities, where we just think too highly of ourselves, where I think of myself as being better than you. I think that I should always come before you, and that's pride. And none of us want to admit that we're prideful people. I mean, we all think everybody else struggles with pride, but I don't struggle with pride, and we never want to admit it. But the truth is, pride's inside of every one of us in some form or another. And see, the funny thing is, your friends and family, they all know you struggle with this. They know. Now, they're not going to tell you more than likely, because why should they? If they tell you, you're just going to deny it. If they tell you, you're just going to get mad. And so why should they bother telling you? But the flip side of that is your enemies, the people that don't like you, they see it and they're very happy to tell you and everybody else about the struggle that you have with pride in your life. And I actually like a story that I heard from Don Shula. Don Shula is a legendary football coach, coached the Miami Dolphins for years, a Hall of Fame coach. And he was actually telling a story about being on vacation with his wife. And he was a coach in Miami, but he was on vacation in Maine with his wife, a little small town. They decided to go to a movie. And so they walk into the movie theater. There's only a handful of people there, just a few people in the theater. But as they walk in, that handful of people, they all applaud as Don and his wife walk in. And Shula said in that moment, he felt pretty pleased with himself. He felt pretty good about it and thought, man, I'm even famous here in this little town in Maine. And so he sat down and kind of nudged his wife and said, I guess I can't go anywhere without people knowing who I am. And so he's feeling good and real smug and just pride kind of creeping in. And just before the movie started, a guy actually came over to Don and kind of shook his hand. And as they're shaking hands, Don Shula said, well, I'm surprised you folks even know who I am out here in the middle of Maine. And the guy responded, know you? Are we supposed to know you? And he went on to just say, we're just glad you came in, because the manager said, we're not going to start this movie until there are 10 people in the theater, and you were the 10th people. And the truth is, we all struggle with pride. And we also struggle with tolerating people that are prideful. I mean, prideful people, they tend to grate on us, and we try to push them back. But what you need to understand is that pride and that whole focus on self, God feels the same way we do about pride, but he actually feels it even more strongly. James, the brother of Jesus, actually records what I think is one of the scariest statements in the entire Bible. And when you read what James says, you understand why pride is the poison pill of just good decision making. James says this in chapter 4, verse 6. He says, God opposes the proud, but he favors the humble. God opposes the proud, but he favors the humble. And this ought to keep us up at night, just thinking about this very thought that God would oppose us. I mean, think about it. It's as though the sovereign God of the universe, the God that controls all things, the God that is all powerful, that God, because of the pride that exists in your life and my life, would stand before us with his arms crossed or his arms out and say, whatever your plans are, whatever your hopes are, whatever your desires are, whatever your dreams are, I'm opposed to them. And I will fight you on this because of your arrogance. And that's how much God resists the agenda of an arrogant person, which is why I suppose the psalmist wrote. He said, though the Lord is great, he cares for the humble, but he keeps his distance from the proud. He backs away from people that are distant. the people that are arrogant. So you've got opportunities here for your reaction, your responses to the desires, the opportunity, the power, the expectations in your life that are coming at you. You've got a choice. And you can either focus on others or you can focus on self. If you want to gain coins, you focus on others. If you want to kind of take a risk, then you can focus on self. And that doesn't mean we can't ever make decisions that are going to benefit us personally, but it just means be real careful. Now, because we tend not to know if we're selfish people, because we tend not to know if pride is something that we struggle with, let me just give you a couple of warning signs that pride may be there. First warning sign I would just give you is just what's the state of your relationships? If there's chaos in all of your relationships, then odds are maybe there's self that's kind of popping in there and people are resisting you because of the pride, the selfishness that's in your life. And so if your relationship with your mom and dad is off, if your relationship with your siblings is off, if your relationship with everybody at school or at work is off, if your relationships with people at church are off, then you might go, how amazing is this? Everybody's a jerk but me, and odds are it's not. Odds are it's you and not everybody else. And so just a warning sign, maybe self is getting bigger than you thought. A second caution to consider is just, after you've had success, there's this danger. After you start gaining coins in your pocket and you keep getting more and more coins, there's a danger in thinking, man, because I'm making such good decisions, I can make decisions in any area of my life and it's going to be a good one. And all of a sudden you start getting cocky and you get prideful and you think, I can make decisions in all areas of life, it's going to be good, I'm great. I would just say be real careful. There's a real fine line between self-interest and just being self-confident and self-interested and self-confident and pride, and you go too far and all of a sudden you find yourself taking risks that you ought not be taking. You just got cocky and all of a sudden you're falling. A third warning sign is just beware. Beware when you think that the rules that apply to everybody else, just normal rules that are actually there to help us so we don't make foolish decisions, when those rules all of a sudden, you go, they don't really apply to me. I'm sure they apply to you, but not to me because I've got so many coins in my pocket. I'm doing so well, I don't need to worry about it. And when you start thinking the rules don't apply to you anymore, be careful. You're setting yourself up for fall. And then the final caution I'd give you is beware. Beware when you start dismissing wise criticism for other people. The people the trusted voices in your life, maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's leaders in your life, but when other people are telling you, slow down, and then all of a sudden you decide, I'm just gonna ignore their advice. I'm gonna shut them out of my life. Before you know it, you find yourself in isolation and you're just kind of going along and you find yourself in trouble. And so be real careful. Now here's the thing. All of us can make good decisions. These propositions are going to come flying at us every time. We've got to figure out how we respond to those propositions. Do we move forward? Do we stop? If we're not sure, or if we decide, I think I'm going to move forward, then the other thing to think through is, okay, who's going to benefit from this decision? Is it others? Is it myself? And just making sure that we're heading the right direction with that. And I would just tell you again, I've listened to far, far too many people and far too many stories, whereas people have made decisions, God was never invited into the process, and there was never any thought. There was never any calculation of the decision that I'm making, what risks are going to come along. And I've listened to those stories result in broken marriages and broken homes and broken children, bankrupt businesses, all because somebody was making some foolish decisions. And it all starts by inviting God into the process and inviting God into the decisions of your life. And it's inviting God in that sets the foundation for everything else that comes along here. And God says, I will stand behind you and I will guide you. I love that passage where God says, look, I'll lead you, I'll guide you, I'll whisper, this is the way to go, to the right, to the left, if we invite him into the process. But without God, we set ourselves up to fail. And so Father's Day weekend, dads, the decisions you make, they matter. People will be impacted by your decisions. There are ramifications, there are consequences to your decisions. If you make poor decisions, your family will struggle. If you make poor decisions, your house will struggle. It's not just dads, it's moms, it's every one of us. Dads, it's not having a bigger house that'll make your family strong. It's not having more toys for your kids to play with that will make your house strong. It's not involving your kids in every extracurricular activity that comes along that's going to make your house strong. It's not just making sure that they've got the best possible education that's going to make your house strong. It's not you earning more or a bigger, better salary that's going to solve all your struggles. Instead, it all begins by inviting God into the process, and it begins by allowing God to guide you so that you can receive more coins, so that you don't have to give all the coins that you have back, so that you can be successful as you move forward in life, which is why I love Proverbs chapter 2, verse 6, where it says, "For the Lord grants wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. If we will invite him into the process, he will give knowledge, understanding. He grants a treasure of common sense to the honest. He's a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him." And I love that idea of a treasure full of common sense. How cool would that be? How cool would that be if the people in your life would say, you know what I appreciate about him, what I appreciate about her, they've got a boatload, a treasure full of common sense. And so my challenge to us is build your life, build your house around God and his involvement and leading in your life, and you won't regret it. You won't lose all of your coins. Heavenly Father, God, first of all, thank you for loving us, and thank you for caring deeply about us. Thank you for being willing to share your wisdom, your understanding. What an amazing thought that somehow you would be willing to give us a treasure load of common sense. So that when we find ourselves making decisions, and we make hundreds and thousands of decisions a day, and they've got consequences. And so God, as we're making decisions, as we struggle, to know to go to the right or the left, that you're there, you're guiding. May we slow down and be quiet, invite you into the process, and then as we invite you into the process, may we just listen. Listen for you to nudge us and guide us. Father, may we not get in such a rush that we don't calculate the decisions we're making. And give us the willingness and the openness of mind and heart to diagnose, am I doing this for myself or am I doing this for others? God, for loving us, thank you. For guiding us, thank you. We love you. For giving us a direction that'll make our homes and our houses better. Thank you. We love you and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Tears will flow, sorrow's gonna fight for my soul. Heaven knows where I stand. Rains will pour, winds will blow, floods are gonna rise, oh I know. Hope ain't built on sinking sand. I've seen enough to know. You can lay bricks, you can dig a foundation, you can build up 10,000 feet tall, but if it don't stand on the word of the Lord, then this house gonna fall. You can put a cross right up on the steeple, you can stain glass on every wall, but if it don't stand on the word of the Lord, then this house gonna fall. gonna fall.
So this week, as you invite God into your decisions, may you experience God's strength and his power in your life. This week, may you hear God directing you either to the left or to the right. And the next week, I actually want to talk to you about what happens when you make bad decisions, because all of us have made bad decisions. All of us have taken foolish risks, and God has a lot to say about that. And so be sure to be here next week as we talk about how do we recover? What do we do in the midst of making bad decisions? But today, if you'd like prayer really about anything going on in your life, there'll be people up at the front left corner of each of our rooms that would love to pray with you about anything that might be happening in your life. So as the gathering is done, make your way to the front. Or if you're joining us online, you can actually go to the LCBC website at any time, click on the prayer button, let us know how we can be praying for you. But this week, today, specifically LCBC, may the Lord bless and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. Thanks for being here. See you next week.